Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to a special episode of your Royal Daily News. As the year comes to a close, and per tradition on my channel, I wanted to take a look back at the year's most talked about royal news and events. Before the clock struck midnight on December 31st, 2023, Her Majesty, Queen Margrethe II of Denmark, announced on live television that she would be abdicating the throne on January 14th, 2024. That surprising announcement, in my opinion, set the tone for the year that was 2024. Shocking, unpredictable, and a very strange year in the world of royalty. From King Harald V of Norway, developing a serious infection while on holiday 6,000 miles away from its homeland. The Princess of Wales announcing that she has cancer. Empress Emerita Michiko of Japan having emergency surgery after a bad fall. The death of Princess Birgitte of Sweden, and several unexpected royal divorces. However, 2024 wasn't all negative. The year also brought many positives, including historic state and official visits, glittering gala events in the Principality of Monaco, the proclamation of 2 new kings in Malaysia and the Kingdom of Denmark, an elaborate Silver Jubilee celebration in the Kingdom of Jordan, significant milestones for the younger generation of royals, royal weddings around the world, and much more. So grab yourself a cup of coffee, tea, matcha, lemon mint water, or champagne. Why not? It's New Year's Eve. Sit back and relax and enjoy the episode. Let's get started. Coming in at number 11, royal firsts and milestones for the younger generation. 2024 included many royal firsts and milestones for the younger generation of royals around the world, including Her Royal Highness Princess Katharina Amalia, Princess of Oranje, celebrating her 21st birthday on December 7th. While her younger sister, Her Royal Highness Princess Alexia of the Netherlands, began her studies at the University College London at the end of September. On July 23rd, Her Royal Highness Princess Elizabeth of Belgium, Duchess of Brabant, graduated from Lincoln College at Oxford University. In September, the 22-year-old princess began the 2-year Master of Public Policy program at Harvard Kennedy School at Harvard University in Cambridge, Massachusetts. In March, Her Imperial Highness Princess Aiko of Japan graduated from Gagoshuin University in Tokyo. His Royal Highness Crown Prince Christian of Denmark graduated from upper secondary school on June 24th. 3 months later, he moved to East Africa. And on July 12th, Her Royal Highness Princess Leonor of Asturias carried out her first solo official visit abroad. Here are 3 of my original reports. This morning in Madrid, Her Royal Highness Princess Leonor of Asturias, accompanied by the Minister of Foreign Affairs, European Union and Cooperation, Mr. José Manuel Álvarez, arrived at the Adolfo Suárez Barajas International Airport to begin her first solo official visit abroad to the Republic of Portugal at the invitation of the President, Marcelo Rebelo de Sousa. In a press release from the Ministerio de Cultura de España, it noted that the choice of Portugal as the first official visit abroad for the princess, quote, reflects and reinforces the ties of brotherhood and closeness that unite both countries, end quote. Upon her arrival at the Aeroporto Militar de Vigo Maduro in Lisbon, Princess Leonor was warmly welcomed by President de Sousa, as well as by the ambassador of the Republic of Portugal to the Kingdom of Spain, the Counselor for Political Affairs of the Embassy of the Kingdom of Spain in the Republic of Portugal, and the Defense, Naval, and Air Attaché of the Embassy of the Kingdom of Spain in the Republic of Portugal, to name a few. Thereafter, the princess arrived at the royal monastery of Santa Maria de Belim, commonly known as Hieronymus Monastery, where she was welcomed by the director, Ms. Margarita Dunas, and by the prior, José Manuel dos Santos. During the private tour of the monastery, the princess placed a wreath at the tomb of the well-known Portuguese poet Luís Vaz de Camões, as well as signed the Book of Honor. In the afternoon, the princess arrived at Palacio Nacional de Belém, where she was welcomed by President de Sousa. After the playing of the national anthems and the inspection of the guards of honor, the princess and the president entered the Palacio, where she was welcomed by delegations from the Kingdom of Spain and Portugal. In the ambassador's hall, President de Sousa bestowed the Gran Cruz de la Orden Militar de Cristo, one of the highest orders of distinction, to the princess. This was followed by a meeting and a luncheon hosted by President de Sousa in honor of the princess's official visit. During the luncheon, the princess gave a speech stating, quote, "Thank you very much, Mr. President, for your kind words, for the hospitality, and for the immense affection with which you are receiving me here in Lisbon, Portugal, on my first official trip abroad." 10 years ago, this beloved country was the first destination of my parents as King and Queen of Spain, so I cannot deny how special it is for me to be here today. They, who have been here on so many occasions, have spoken with me with great affection of their visits to Portugal, of the love they have received in its streets, and how of you have always made them feel at home. That is how I feel today. This is a trip that I was looking forward to, and that makes me very happy." End quote. In the afternoon, the princess visited the Lisbon Oceanarium. During her visit, the princess participated in a roundtable meeting held under the theme Ocean Defense, Scientific Expeditions, and Alignment of Ocean Policy Frameworks and the Economy. The official visit to the Republic of Portugal ended with the princess meeting with the public, before President de Sousa escorted her to the airport to wish her safe travels. On Thursday morning, His Royal Highness, Crown Prince Christian of Denmark, took to social media to provide an update on his life in East Africa and his plans for the future. Here is what he had to say. Quote, "I have been in East Africa for almost 3 months. Everyday life down here is something completely different than at home. The food, the culture, the climate, the wildlife, the tasks, and the people make it an experience I will never forget. In recent weeks, I've been working with nature preservation. I'm both supervising and registering animals in the bush and taking care of the office on the farm. As the video shows, I get really close to the wild animals when they have their GPS collars replaced during anesthesia. Learning a lot about life down here, and I've helped to build new houses for the employees. And then I played some good football matches with the locals. But now I'm also starting to look forward to returning home to my family in Denmark and celebrating Christmas in a few weeks. And I'm looking forward to new challenges. In February, I'll start working as a military officer at the Guard Hussar Regiment in Slagelse. Signed, His Royal Highness, the Crown Prince." End quote. The Guard Hussar Regiment is the oldest regiment in the Danish Army, dating back to 1614. The regimental motto, Inactus esto volacris, meaning be swift in action, can be found on the regimental badge and on the armored horse mask with the crown monogram of King Christian IV. The badge is a symbol of the regiment's great attachment to the horse and the armored units of the Hussar battalions. With the Crown Prince beginning his military career with the Guard Hussar Regiment, he follows in his father's footsteps. In 1988, the King became a platoon commander in the Royal Guard Hussar Regiment. In 1989, he was appointed First Lieutenant in the Reserve. This morning, Her Imperial Highness, Princess Aiko of Japan, graduated from Gagoshuin University in Tokyo. The princess, who was the only daughter of their Imperial Majesties, Emperor Naruhito and Empress Masako of Japan, studied medieval classical literature at the Department of Japanese Language and Literature of the Faculty of Letters at the prestigious university. Prior to the graduation ceremony, the lovely princess spoke with the media. When asked about her life as a student at the university, Princess Aiko replied, quote, "I took online classes for the first 3 years and went to this campus for the last year. I learned a lot of new things and had a fulfilling 4 years. I am grateful for being able to meet wonderful professors and friends." End quote. Next month, Princess Aiko will begin working as a contract employee at the headquarters of the Japanese Red Cross Society in Tokyo. Wonderful news. Congratulations, Princess Aiko. I'm so happy for her. She's such a lovely young woman, and her kimono is gorgeous. Coming in at number 10, 2 reigning monarchs celebrate a royal milestone on the throne. On Sunday, June 9th, His Majesty, King Abdullah II of Jordan, celebrated his silver jubilee in Amman. While on June 19th, His Majesty, King Felipe VI of Spain, celebrated his 10th anniversary on the throne. Here are my original reports. In Madrid, Their Majesties, King Felipe VI and Queen Letizia of Spain, Her Royal Highness Princess Leonor of Asturias, and Her Royal Highness Infanta Sofia of Spain, participated in several events on the occasion of the 10th anniversary of the proclamation of the King. The day began with the royal family presiding over the solemn relief of the Guardia Real at Palacio Real de Madrid. In the mid-morning, the royal family presided over the presentation of the Orden del Mérito Civil to 19 Spaniards in recognition of their personal commitment and social contribution to society. The Orden was founded by King Alfonso XIII on June 25, 1926, to reward the, quote, civic virtues of officials in the service of the state, as well as the extraordinary services of Spaniards and foreign citizens for the good of the nations. End quote. In the afternoon, the royal family hosted a luncheon at Palacio Real de Madrid for the recipients of the Orden, government officials, and distinguished guests. In his speech, the king said, quote, "I want to start this toast by thanking so many people, institutions, public organizations, and civil society entities that during these days are joining this celebration in different ways. Thank you very much for all the support and affection, and for the congratulations we have received. And now, I would like to toast the 19 men and women we honor today, and also for their families and for all the Spaniards who see themselves reflected in them. Their actions and behaviors inspire us all, and his spirit of service is a role model for each of us. For everything they do and how they do it, let us raise our glasses in their honor." End quote. The day ended with Princess Leonor and Infanta Sofia meeting with 40 young people who participated in the competition entitled Que es un rey para ti, organized by the Fundación Institucional Española. According to the Royal Court of Spain, the purpose of the competition is to, quote, promote the creativity of young people from all over Spain through their work on the monarchical institution and thus promote, from their knowledge, respect for the first institution of the state, as well as for the values such as coexistence, solidarity, and democracy. End quote. Thereafter, the princess and the infanta visited the Galería de las Colecciones Reales, which showcases the history of the monarchy in Spain from the Middle Ages to the present. On Sunday, Their Majesties, King Abdullah II and Queen Rania of Jordan, and their Royal Highnesses, Crown Prince Al Hussein bin Abdullah II and Princess Rajwa Al Hussein of Jordan, attended a national celebratory event at the King Hussein Business Park on the occasion of the King's Silver Jubilee. On February 7, 1999, King Hussein bin Talal of Jordan passed away after battling non-Hodgkin lymphoma, a type of cancer. He was 63 years old. A month before his passing, the great king named his eldest son, Abdullah, heir to the throne of the Hashemite Kingdom of Jordan. On June 9, 1999, the investiture ceremony of the new King of Jordan took place in Amman, with a reception following at Ragadan Palace. According to the Royal Hashemite Court, over 9,000 guests attended the celebratory event, including Her Royal Highness Princess Muna Al Hussein of Jordan, Her Royal Highness Princess Basma bint Halal of Jordan, Her Royal Highness Princess Iman bint Abdullah II of Jordan, and her husband, Mr. Jamil Thermodis. Her Royal Highness Princess Salma bint Abdullah II of Jordan, His Royal Highness Prince Hashim bin Abdullah II of Jordan, Their Royal Highnesses Prince Faisal bin Hussein and Princess Zina Al Faisal of Jordan, Their Royal Highnesses Prince Ghazi bin Mohammed and Princess Miriam Al Ghazi of Jordan, Their Royal Highnesses Prince Talal bin Mohammed and Princess Gita Al Talal of Jordan, the Prime Minister of the Kingdom of Jordan, senior government officials and officers, and diplomats accredited to the Kingdom of Jordan. The Royal Hashemite Court goes on to note that the event, quote, highlighted Jordan's achievements throughout a quarter of a century through a military parade by the Jordan Armed Forces Arab Army and security agencies, showcasing the latest developments in these national institutions, reflecting on the high professionalism and commitment of its personnel. Around 3,200 personnel from all military and security formations and units marched before the stands. The event also featured cultural and folklore segments representing all the governorates, performed by over 1,000 young men and women, with 12 floats representing each governorate. A group of young Jordanians performed the Silver Jubilee Anthem and another national song composed for the occasion. End quote. Congratulations, Your Majesty, on your Silver Jubilee. Number 9. Royals from around the world gather for significant events. In July, royals from around the world gathered in Paris to attend the Summer Olympic Games. On June 6, European royals gathered in Normandy to attend a commemoration ceremony on the occasion of the 80th anniversary of the D-Day landings. Here are my original reports. On Thursday morning, monarchs and royals from around Europe, heads of state, and veterans from the Allied forces gathered at Omaha Beach in Saint-Laurent-sur-Mer to attend a commemoration ceremony on the occasion of the 80th anniversary of the D-Day landings. Monarchs and royals who attended the historic and moving ceremony included Their Majesties King Philippe and Queen Mathilde of the Belgians, His Majesty King Frederick X of Denmark, His Royal Highness Grand Duke Henri of Luxembourg, His Serene Highness Prince Albert II of Monaco, Mr. Andrea Casaraghi, Mr. Pierre Casaraghi, Mrs. Beatrice Borromeo Casaraghi, Their Majesties King Willem-Alexander and Queen Maxima of the Netherlands, His Royal Highness Crown Prince Haakon of Norway, and His Royal Highness the Prince of Wales. Their Majesties King Charles III and Queen Camilla of the United Kingdom attended the Ministry of Defence and the Royal British Legion's commemorative event at the British Normandy Memorial at Vers-sur-Mer. In Staffordshire, Their Royal Highnesses the Duke and Duchess of Edinburgh attended the Royal British Legion's Service of Remembrance at the National Memorial Arboretum. Meanwhile, His Royal Highness the Duke of Kent unveiled a statue to commemorate the Royal Warwickshire's regiment's involvement on that day of days. According to Buckingham Palace, quote, 500 men from the regiment were dropped by parachute in Normandy on D-Day, successfully drawing the attention of German units away from the beaches. End quote. In London, Their Royal Highnesses the Duke and Duchess of Gloucester attended the event D-Day 80, remembering the Normandy landings at the Royal Albert Hall. On Wednesday, His Serene Highness Prince Albert II of Monaco arrived at the Caen Memorial to view the exhibition entitled The Dawn of the American Century, 1919 to 1944. The exhibition showcases the social and political transformations of the United States of America during the interwar period until the start of World War II. Thereafter, the sovereign prince had the opportunity to fly in a Piper Cub, a single-engine light aircraft whose design dates back to the 1930s, flying over some of Normandy's historic landmarks. At noon, the sovereign prince visited Moho and Caen. In the late afternoon, the sovereign prince met with veterans from the United States of America in the town of Sainte-Mère-Église, one of the first to be liberated after the D-Day landings. According to the Palais Pensier de Monaco, quote, "In the middle of a very large crowd, the sovereign prince followed the parade of American veterans before speaking with these heroes of the Battle of Normandy at the Airborne Museum. He then visited Camp Geronimo, a reconstruction of a military camp from the Second World War, and attended a concert by American cellist Mr. Michael Fitzpatrick in the town church." End quote. Last evening, royals from around the world attended the unforgettable opening ceremony of the Games of the 33rd Olympiad in Paris, France. The royal guests, including Their Majesties King Philippe and Queen Mathilde of the Belgians, Their Majesties King Frederick X and Queen Mary of Denmark, Their Royal Highnesses Grand Duke Henri and Grand Duchess Maria Theresa of Luxembourg, Their Serene Highnesses Prince Albert II and Princess Charlene of Monaco, His Serene Highness Hereditary Prince Jacques of Monaco, Her Serene Highness Princess Gabriella of Monaco, Their Majesties King Willem-Alexander and Queen Maxima of the Netherlands, His Highness Sheikh Tamim bin Hamad Al Thani, the Emir of Qatar, Her Excellency Sheikh Hind bin Hamad Al Thani of Qatar, Her Royal Highness Princess Rima bint Bandar Al Saud of Saudi Arabia, and Their Majesties King Felipe VI and Queen Letizia of Spain cheered and clapped as our home country teams made their way down the 6-kilometer stretch of the River Seine to the Jardin du Trocadero. Prior to the opening ceremony, the President and the First Lady of the French Republic, Emmanuel and Brigitte Macron, hosted a reception for royals around the world, heads of state, diplomats, and selected members of the IOC at the Palais d'Élysée. Number 8. Royal Engagements. On June 5th, Her Royal Highness Princess Aisha bint Faisal of Jordan, the niece of His Majesty King Abdullah II of Jordan, announced her engagement to Mr. Karim Al Mufti in Amman. On October 22nd, in Vaduz, it was announced that Her Serene Highness Princess Marie Caroline of Liechtenstein will marry Mr. Leopoldo Maduro Volmer next summer. Here is my original report. As I mentioned in yesterday afternoon's Community Post, His Serene Highness Hereditary Prince Alois and Her Royal Highness Hereditary Princess Sophie of Liechtenstein announced the engagement of their daughter, Her Serene Highness Princess Marie Caroline of Liechtenstein, to Mr. Leopoldo Maduro Volmer. The princely wedding will take place in the late summer of 2025. Number 7. Royal Divorces and Separations. 2024 was a year of shocking divorces. Her Royal Highness Princess Mafalda of Bulgaria and Mr. Mark Abu Slayman filed for divorce in May. His Royal Highness Prince Leka of Albania's divorce from Princess Ilia Zahara was finalized on April 25th. In July, Sheikh Amar bint Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum announced her divorce on Instagram from Sheikh Mana bin Mohammed bin Rashid bin Mana Al Maktoum by invoking the triple talaq. The most surprising divorce announcement was from their Royal Highnesses Prince Nikolaos and Princess Tatiana of Greece. Here are 2 of my original reports. In Athens, it was announced that their Royal Highnesses Prince Nicholas and Princess Tatiana of Greece had decided to divorce after 14 years of marriage. Per a press release from the Greek royal family, quote, "We wish to inform you of a significant and heartfelt decision made by their Royal Highnesses Prince Nicholas and Princess Tatiana. After 14 years of marriage, they have chosen to amicably dissolve their union. This decision was reached with great care and mutual respect, reflecting the depth of their appreciation for one another and the moments they have shared. Their future interactions will continue to be guided by the same principles of respect and understanding as they transition into a relationship rooted in a strong friendship. They will continue to live and build their lives in Greece, a place they both call home. The family will always support them. We warmly thank you for your understanding and for respecting their privacy during this time. Signed, the Private Office of the Greek Royal Family. End quote. Prince Nicholas and Princess Tatiana of Greece were married at the Orthodox Church of St. Nicholas on the island of Spetses in Greece on August 25, 2010. Royals from reigning and non-reigning houses from around the world attended the beautiful sunset wedding. Sending love, light, and peace to the prince and princess during this difficult time. Oh, that's so sad. They're such a beautiful couple. And she is so kind. I met her once. Really a lovely woman. In Dubai, Her Highness Sheikh Amara bint Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum of Dubai, the daughter of His Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum, the ruler of Dubai, and his ex-wife Zoe, announced that she is divorcing her husband of 1 year, Sheikh Mana bin Mohammed bin Rashid bin Mana Al Maktoum. The beautiful Sheikh Amara made this shocking announcement, not through her attorney, nor filing for divorce through the legal system. No, she made this announcement late last night on Instagram. Quote, "Dear husband, as you are occupied with other companions, I hereby declare our divorce. I divorce you. I divorce you. I divorce you. Take care. Your ex-wife." End quote. The couple were married on May 28, 2023 in Dubai. The couple also recently welcomed their first child together, a girl named Mara, on May 2nd, 2024. Oh my gosh. Keep your head up, Your Highness. You're way too good for him. You've got this. Number 6, Royal Weddings. 2024 brought us some memorable royal weddings, including His Royal Highness Prince Stanislaus of Bavaria and Miss Isabel Hampel's romantic wedding on May 25th in Salzburg, Austria. Her Highness Princess Martha Louise of Norway and Shaman Durek's wedding on August 31st in Geiranger, Norway. His Royal Highness Prince Abdul Mateen of Brunei and Miss Anissa Rosna's lavish 10-day royal wedding celebrations in Bandar Seri Begawan. And the beautiful royal wedding between Her Royal Highness Princess Theodora of Greece to Mr. Matthew Kumar on September 28th in Athens, Greece. Here are 2 of my original reports. This afternoon, Her Royal Highness Princess Theodora of Greece married Mr. Matthew Kumar at the Metropolitan Cathedral of the Annunciation in Athens, Greece. His Eminence, the Metropolitan of Syros, Dorotheos II, presided over the Greek Orthodox wedding ceremony. In a press release from the Greek royal family, it noted that the, quote, "couple's desire to have their wedding in Athens reflects their love for Greece, the strong ties they maintain with the country, and their desire to share Greek culture, hospitality, and identity with their guests." End quote. Princess Theodora, who is the second daughter of Her Majesty Queen Anne Marie of the Hellenes and the late King Constantine II of the Hellenes, wore a beautiful custom gown by Athens-based designer Miss Celia Kritharioti, and the stunning Khedive of Egypt tiara. The tiara is traditionally worn by the daughters and granddaughters of the late King Frederick IX and Queen Ingrid of Denmark on their wedding day. Mr. Matthew Kumar, a Sherman Oaks, California-based attorney who's a partner in the debt collection law firm Farmar, wore a custom suit. Guests attending the wedding included Her Majesty Queen Anne Marie of the Hellenes, His Royal Highness Prince Nikolaos of Greece, their Royal Highnesses Prince Philippos and Princess Nina of Greece. Their Royal Highnesses Crown Prince Pavlos and Crown Princess Marie Chantal of Greece, His Royal Highness Prince Constantine Alexios of Greece, His Royal Highness Prince Achilleus Andreas of Greece, His Royal Highness Prince Odysseus Kimen of Greece, His Royal Highness Prince Aristides Stavros of Greece, Her Royal Highness Princess Maria Olympia of Greece, Ms. Areta Morales Quintana, Her Royal Highness Princess Alexia of Greece and her husband, Mr. Carlos Morales Quintana, and their children. Her Royal Highness Princess Benedicte of Denmark, Her Serene Highness Princess Alexandra of Sayn Wittgenstein of Berlberg, Countess of Elefeld-Larrivie-Bille, Count Michael of Elefeld-Larrivie-Bille, Count Richard von Pfeil und Klein Elgut, their Serene Highnesses Prince Gustav and Princess Karina of Sayn Wittgenstein of Berlberg, Her Majesty Emerita Queen Sophia of Spain, Her Royal Highness Infanta Elena of Spain, Her Royal Highness Infanta Cristina of Spain, and her children, their Royal Highnesses Crown Prince Alexander and Crown Princess Catherine of Serbia, their Royal Highnesses the Duke and Duchess of Savoy-Aosta, Her Royal Highness Hereditary Princess Ekaterina of Hanover, their Royal Highnesses Prince Christian and Princess Alessandra of Hanover, and Miss Chantal Ochuli. After the wedding ceremony, the couple and their guests attended a lavish wedding reception at the one and only Estesis Hotel at Glyfada Beach, just south of Athens. Congratulations to the Princess and Mr. Kumar. Wishing you both a lifetime of happiness, peace, and love. Last evening, Princess Theodora and Mr. Matthew Kumar hosted a cocktail reception and dinner for their family and friends in the garden at the Byzantine and Christian Museum in Athens. Well, the 10-day royal wedding celebrations in Brunei have begun. This morning in Lapau, His Royal Highness Crown Prince Billah Hassan Al Bolkiah of Brunei and His Royal Highness Prince Abdul Malik Hassan Al Bolkiah of Brunei presided over the opening ceremony of the Jendang Jaga Jaga drums on the occasion of the upcoming royal wedding of His Royal Highness Prince Abdul Mateen of Brunei and Miss Anisa Isa Kalibek on Thursday, January 11th. On Sunday, His Majesty Sultan Hassan Al Bolkiah of Brunei, accompanied by his sons, His Royal Highness Crown Prince Billah Hassan Al Bolkiah of Brunei and His Royal Highness Prince Abdul Malik Hassan Al Bolkiah of Brunei, presided over the Royal Order ceremony held inside the dining hall at the Royal Palace of Nur al-Iman. Meanwhile, Miss Anisa Isa Kalibek participated in the traditional Khatam al-Quran ceremony. In the Khatam al-Quran ceremony held a few days before the solemnization of the royal wedding, the bride reads the Holy Quran before, quote, entering into marriage life. After reciting some of the surahs in the Quran, the bride will recite or give a dua, which is a prayer, after completion of the reading of the Holy Quran. End quote. Tomorrow, Tuesday, January 9th, the ceremony of the sending of the royal sign and the royal engagement, as well as the ceremony of receiving the royal sign and the royal engagement, will take place at the Royal Palace of Nur al-Iman. So please stay tuned. In Bandar Seri Begawan, His Royal Highness Prince Abdul Mateen of Brunei and Miss Anisa Isa Kalibek, who is also known as Miss Anisa Rosna Binti Adam, participated in the traditional powdering ceremony at the Royal Palace of Nur al-Iman. The beautiful ceremony is a time when the bride and groom are blessed by family and friends, by anointing the couple with scented oils and colored powdered paste on their hands. Participating in today's sacred ceremony was His Majesty Sultan Hassan Al Bolkiah of Brunei, Her Majesty Queen Saleha of Brunei, their Royal Highnesses Crown Prince Billah Hassan Al Bolkiah and Crown Princess Sarah Bolkiah of Brunei, His Royal Highness Prince Abdul Malik Bolkiah of Brunei, and Miss Anisa Isa Kalibek's father and mother, to name a few. This sacred and traditional ceremony symbolizes fertility and wealth for the couple. Tomorrow, Thursday, January 11th, Prince Abdul Mateen of Brunei, and Miss Anissa Isa Kalibik will marry at the Sultan Omar Ali Saifuddin Mosque in Bandar Seri Begawan. So please stay tuned. Number 5. Historic State Visits. 2024 brought us several historic state visits, including their Imperial Majesties, Emperor Naruhito and Empress Masako of Japan's state visit to the United Kingdom in June. Their Majesties, King Jimne Khesar Wangchuck and Queen Jetson of Bhutan's state visit to Mongolia in July. Their Majesties, King Felipe VI and Queen Letizia of Spain's state visit to the Kingdom of the Netherlands in April. His Majesty, King Mohammed VI of Morocco, hosting a state visit from the President and the First Lady of the French Republic in November. And of course, their Majesties, King Frederick X and Queen Mary of Denmark's first state visit to the kingdoms of Sweden and Norway. Here are my original reports. In Stockholm, their Majesties, King Frederick X and Queen Mary of Denmark, began their highly anticipated state visit to the Kingdom of Sweden at the invitation of their Majesties King Carl Gustaf and Queen Sylvia of Sweden. Accompanying their Majesties on this historic visit include the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Mr. Lars Rasmussen, and the Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Defense, Mr. Truls Lund Poulsen. According to the Nordic cooperation, the historical ties between Denmark and Sweden date back to 1397 when, quote, Denmark, Norway, and Sweden merged to form the Kalmar Union, end quote. Of course, there are family ties through the late Queen Ingrid of Denmark, who was born Her Royal Highness Princess Ingrid of Sweden. The princess was the sister of the late Prince Gustav Adolf of Sweden, the father of His Majesty King Carl Gustaf of Sweden. The state visit, the first from the Kingdom of Denmark to the Kingdom of Sweden since 1985, began with the King and Queen of Denmark boarding the Vasaorden, where they were welcomed by their Royal Highnesses Crown Princess Victoria and Prince Daniel of Sweden. As the boat rowed towards Skeppsbro, cannon shots were fired from Kastelholmen and Skeppsholmen. Upon their arrival at Skeppsbro, the King and Queen were warmly welcomed by their Majesties King Carl Gustaf and Queen Sylvia of Sweden. After the inspection of the Grenadier Company of the Life Guard and the playing of the national anthems, their Majesties and the Crown Princess couple arrived in Parliament Hall, where they held a receiving line that included members of the Swedish Parliament, the government, and official Sweden. Thereafter, in the Bernadotte Gallery, a reception was held in which gifts were exchanged and orders were presented between the two royal houses. First, King Frederick X received the royal chain of the Order of the Seraphim. Queen Mary was appointed Knight of the Royal Order of the Seraphim. According to the Royal Court of Sweden, the Royal Order of the Seraphim is Sweden's foremost order. It is only awarded to members of the royal family and foreign heads of state or persons of equal status in connection with state visits. In return, King Frederick X appointed His Royal Highness Prince Daniel of Sweden a Knight of the Order of the Elephant. The Order of the Elephant is the oldest and most distinguished Danish order of chivalry and has roots dating back to the 1400s. The order is primarily bestowed upon royalty and heads of state. After a press conference, their Majesties and the Crown Princess couple attended a private luncheon at the Royal Palace, hosted by the Swedish Minister of Foreign Affairs. Thereafter, King Frederick X and Queen Mary of Denmark held a meeting with the Speaker of the Parliament, Mr. Andreas Norlén, and the Prime Minister of the Kingdom of Sweden, Mr. Ulf Kristersson. In the late afternoon, their Majesties visited the Royal Institute of Technology, where they met with 2 Swedish astronauts and 1 Danish astronaut. During the meeting, the discussions focused on the role of space research and space technology for a sustainable future. In the evening, their Majesties, King Carl Gustaf and Queen Sylvia of Sweden, hosted a glittering gala state banquet in the Carl Knights Gallery at the Royal Palace in honor of the King and Queen of Denmark's state visit. Guests attending the banquet included their Royal Highnesses Crown Princess Victoria and Prince Daniel of Sweden, their Royal Highnesses Prince Carl Philip and Princess Sophia of Sweden, Her Royal Highness Princess Christina, Mrs. Magnusson, and her husband, Mr. Tord Magnusson, representatives of official Sweden, members of the Danish delegation, including Miss Leni Ballaby, head of communications for the Danish Royal Court, Swedes with a special connection to Denmark, and distinguished guests. In Oslo, Their Majesties, King Frederick X and Queen Mary of Denmark, began their 2-day state visit to the Kingdom of Norway at the invitation of Their Majesties King Harald V and Queen Sonja of Norway. According to the Royal Court of Norway, the historical ties between Denmark and Norway date back to 1380, when the two countries were, quote, merged under a single monarch, King Christian III. But Norway was given a subordinate role in the Union and came increasingly under Danish control. The union with Denmark was dissolved in 1814 in the aftermath of the Napoleonic Wars. For a brief time, Norway once again became an independent nation, drawing up its own constitution. Just a few months later, however, Norway was compelled to enter into a union with Sweden, this time as an independent nation, but with a common king and joint foreign policy. In 1905, the Union of Norway and Sweden was dissolved, and Norway chose its own monarch, King Haakon VII. End quote. King Haakon VII of Norway was born Prince Christian Frederick Carl Georg Valdemar Axel on August 3, 1872, at Charlottenlund Slot in Denmark. His parents were King Frederick VIII and Queen Louise of Denmark. On June 22, 1896, the prince married Her Royal Highness Princess Maud of the United Kingdom at Buckingham Palace in London. On November 25, 1905, the prince, who took on the name King Haakon VII, and Princess Maud, now Queen Maud of Norway, along with their son, Prince Alexander, who was given the name Olaf, arrived in Kristiania, also known as Oslo today, in Norway. So back to the state visit. Well, the state visit began with King Frederick X and Queen Mary of Denmark sailing through the Oslo Fjord as 21 cannon shots were fired from Akershus Fortress. Upon their arrival at the quay, Their Majesties were warmly welcomed by their Royal Highnesses Crown Prince Haakon and Crown Princess Mette-Marit of Norway. Moments later, King Harald V and Queen Sonja of Norway warmly welcomed the new King and Queen of Denmark to Oslo. After the traditional welcoming ceremony, which included the playing of the national anthems and the inspection of the guards of honor, Their Majesties and the Crown Prince couple of Norway traveled by car to the Royal Palace. Once inside the Royal Palace, Their Majesties, the Crown Prince couple of Norway, and Her Highness, Princess Astrid Mrs. Werner, posed for photos in the Bird Room. This was followed by a private meeting and reception in the stunning Hall of Mirrors. During the reception, His Majesty, King Harald V of Norway, presented the Grand Cross of the Order of St. Olaf with a chain to King Frederick X of Denmark. Founded in 1847 by King Oscar I, the Order of St. Olaf is presented to royalty, heads of state, and Norwegians. In the early afternoon, Their Majesties and the Crown Prince couple of Norway arrived at Akershus Fortress, where they placed a wreath at the foot of the National Monument in honor of Norwegians who lost their lives during World War II. After a visit to Parliament, where King Frederick X and Queen Mary held a meeting with the President, they arrived at Bygdø Royal Estate to attend a private luncheon with the royal family, including Her Royal Highness, Princess Ingrid Alexandra of Norway. At 3 p.m., Their Majesties and the Crown Prince couple of Norway visited the Oslo Science City and the Nanotechnology Laboratory, Mina Lab. According to the Royal Court of Norway, during their visit, Their Majesties and the Crown Prince couple learned about, quote, Norwegian and Danish cooperation in research into technology and green transition, and about the importance of researching microchips, sensors, and new materials. Microchips are of decisive importance for the green shift and of great strategic importance for Europe, with consequences for, among other things, aircraft, electric cars, wind turbines, and solar cells. End quote. In the evening, Their Majesties, King Harald V and Queen Sonja of Norway, hosted a lavish gala banquet in the Grand Dining Hall at the Royal Palace. Guests attending this evening's banquet included Their Royal Highnesses Crown Prince Haakon and Crown Princess Mette-Marit of Norway, Her Highness Princess Astrid Mrs. Werner, members of King Frederick X and Queen Mary of Denmark's royal court, members of Norwegian Parliament, and distinguished guests. In his speech to King Frederick X and Queen Mary of Denmark, King Harald V of Norway said, quote, "Just today the two of you have been married for 20 years. Surely that deserves a round of applause. We think it's very nice that you chose to celebrate your wedding anniversary here with us tonight. During these years, you have raised 4 wonderful children, Christian, Isabella, Vincent, and Josephine. The Crown Prince couple and Princess Ingrid Alexandra joined in celebrating Prince Christian, who has now become Crown Prince, his 18th birthday last year. The Queen and I are grateful that the close ties of family and friendship between our two families are also continued through new generations. It means a lot to all of us, I think. And of course, we expect that you two will continue the tradition of spending lots of time in the Norwegian mountains and embracing the somewhat peculiar Norwegian sport of cross-country skiing. Your Majesties, dear Frederick and Mary, it is a great pleasure to have you visit. I wish you all the best for your important work. Both to you and to all of us, I want to say, find your own path and spend time tending to what is most important in life. We raise a toast to King Frederick and Queen Mary, and to the warm relationship between Denmark and Norway." End quote. In Amsterdam, Their Majesties, King Felipe VI and Queen Letizia of Spain, began their 2-day state visit to the Kingdom of the Netherlands at the invitation of Their Majesties, King Willem-Alexander and Queen Maxima of the Netherlands. According to RVD, quote, "The Netherlands and Spain have a shared history and are connected by shared values and interests. The countries have had diplomatic relations since 1648, and the historical bond between the two countries goes back even further. Within Europe, the Netherlands and Spain have been connected for centuries on a political, economic, cultural, and social level. Political cooperation with Spain has intensified in recent years. Both countries work together on issues such as open strategic autonomy and organized crime. Economic ties are also close." End quote. The state visit began with a traditional welcoming ceremony on the Dam Square, which included the playing of the national anthems of Spain and the Netherlands. This was followed by King Felipe VI and King Willem-Alexander inspecting the guards of honor. Then, Their Majesties arrived at the Royal Palace of Amsterdam, signed the Book of Honor, and held a receiving line in which ministers of the Dutch and Spanish governments, including the Secretary of State for Commerce, Ms. Siana Mendez, the President of the Spanish Chamber of Commerce, Mr. José Luis Bonet, and the President of the Spanish Confederation of Business Organizations, Mr. Antonio Garamendi, were presented. Thereafter, a reception was held at the palace in honor of the King and Queen of Spain. In the mid-morning, King Felipe VI and Queen Letizia of Spain walked to the National Monument in Dam Square, where a wreath was placed in front of the monument before the bugle call and the mandatory minute of silence. In the afternoon, King Felipe VI and King Willem-Alexander attended a sports event organized by the Cruyff Foundation, as well as visited the Port of Amsterdam and the terminals of Evos and Sunoco. According to RVD, Their Majesties, quote, "spoke with Dutch and Spanish companies about the development of a maritime green hydrogen corridor between the Port of Bilbao and the Port of Amsterdam." End quote. In the evening, Their Majesties, King Willem-Alexander and Queen Maxima of the Netherlands, hosted a lavish, glittering gala state banquet at the Royal Palace of Amsterdam. In the evening, Their Majesties, King Willem-Alexander and Queen Maxima of the Netherlands, hosted a lavish, glittering gala state banquet at the Royal Palace of Amsterdam. Guests attending the gala included members of the Dutch government, ministers from Their Majesty's Spanish delegation, distinguished guests, Her Royal Highness Princess Beatrix of the Netherlands, Her Royal Highness Princess Margriet of the Netherlands, and Her Royal Highness Princess Katharina Amalia, Princess of Orania, wearing the Grand Cruz de la Orden de Isabel la Católica. As I mentioned in last Wednesday's episode, His Majesty King Felipe VI of Spain, by Royal Decree No. 374/2024, bestowed the order on April 9, 2024, to the Princess for his, quote, proof of my royal appreciation to Her Royal Highness Princess Katharina Amalia of the Netherlands, end quote. The order was established by King Ferdinand VII on March 14, 1815, with the name of Real Orden Americana de Isabel la Católica. Today, the order is governed by Royal Decree No. 2395/1998 of November 6, which approves the regulations of the Orden de Isabel la Católica. The order is presented to individuals for their, quote, extraordinary behaviors of a civil nature, carried out by Spanish people and foreign, that benefit the nation or that contribute, in a relevant way, to favoring relations of friendship and cooperation of the Spanish nation with the rest of the international community, end quote. This afternoon, His Majesty, King Mohammed VI of Morocco, welcomed the President and the First Lady of the French Republic, Emmanuel and Brigitte Macron, to Rabat. The presidential couple is on a 3-day state visit to the Kingdom of Morocco at the invitation of the King. Accompanying the King during today's welcoming ceremony were His Royal Highness Crown Prince Moulay El Hassan of Morocco, His Royal Highness Prince Moulay Rashid of Morocco, Her Royal Highness Princess Lala Miriam of Morocco, and Her Royal Highness Princess Lala Khadija of Morocco, the King's daughter. According to a press release from the Royal Court of Morocco, the state visit, quote, reflects the depth of bilateral relations founded on a strong and deeply rooted partnership, fueled by the shared will of both heads of state to further strengthen the multidimensional ties between the two countries. This visit takes place in a new context, marked by France's declared support for Morocco's autonomy plan, which reinforces Moroccan sovereignty over its southern provinces. This decision represents a new phase in French-Moroccan relations in the context of a positive international momentum surrounding the Sahara issue in recent years, end quote. Tomorrow morning, the President will give a speech before members of Parliament and attend a gala state dinner with the First Lady, hosted by the King at the Royal Palace in Rabat. Number 4. Royal Health Emergencies. In 2024, there were many health emergencies. Her Majesty, Emerita Queen Paula of Belgium, His Excellency, Count Ingolf of Rosenborg, and Her Imperial Majesty, Empress Emerita Michiko of Japan, all fell in their homes, which led to hospital stays and one emergency operation. In June, Her Royal Highness, the Princess Royal, suffered from a concussion on the Gatcombe Park estate. In December, the Royal Court of Serbia announced that Her Royal Highness, Crown Princess Catherine of Serbia, was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer. Earlier this year, Her Royal Highness, the Princess of Wales, and His Majesty, King Charles III of the United Kingdom, announced that they both have cancer. And His Majesty, King Harold V of Norway, contracted a serious infection while on holiday in Malaysia earlier this year. Here are 2 of my original reports. In Oslo, the Royal Court of Norway issued a statement this morning regarding the health situation of His Majesty, King Harold V of Norway. For those of you who may not know what has happened with the King these past 7 days, well, here's a quick timeline. On Tuesday, February 27th, the Royal Court of Norway announced that the 87-year-old King had, quote, fallen ill with an infection, end quote, during a private holiday at the famous wellness resort, Vidatai, on the island of Langkawi, Malaysia, with Her Majesty, Queen Sonja of Norway. As a result, the King was hospitalized. The King's personal physician, Dr. Bjorn Bentz, was on the island and confirmed that the King was improving from his infection. Meanwhile, the Norwegian government began to work with the Norwegian Armed Forces to, quote, facilitate and arrange for the transportation of His Majesty the King back home to Norway, end quote. On Saturday, March 2nd, the Royal Court of Norway announced that the King had surgery at the Sultana Malia Hospital on the island of Langkawi. The King had a temporary pacemaker implanted due to a low heart rate. The procedure was successful. According to the King's personal physician, the, quote, procedure will make the return back home safer, end quote. On Sunday morning, Their Majesties left the hospital and arrived at the Langkawi airport and boarded an SAS Scandinavian Airlines Boeing 737-783 ambulance aircraft. On board with Their Majesties was a military medical team. The 19-hour flight, roughly, had a brief stopover at Sharjah International Airport in Sharjah, United Arab Emirates. Just a few minutes before 11 p.m. and ahead of schedule, Their Majesties arrived safely at the Oslo International Airport. His Majesty the King was immediately admitted to the hospital in Oslo for examinations, treatment, and rest. Now, back to today's press release. The Royal Court of Norway confirmed that the King's infection has, quote, recently become more under control, end quote. His Majesty the King has a low heart rate and will require a permanent pacemaker. The timing of the pacemaker implantation will be determined by when His Majesty the King is completely free from infection. This could take several days, so the King is likely to remain at the hospital until after the weekend. Overall, his condition is stable and improving. With the King in the hospital and on sick leave for 2 weeks, according to Sunday's press release from the Royal Court, His Royal Highness Crown Prince Haakon of Norway will act as regent and assume the King's constitutional duties. In Windsor, Kensington Palace released a video message from Her Royal Highness the Princess of Wales this afternoon. In her message, the princess revealed that she has cancer and is undergoing treatment, which began in late February. Quote, tests after the operation found cancer had been present. My medical team therefore advised that I should undergo a course of preventative chemotherapy, and I am now in the early stages of that treatment. End quote. Kensington Palace also confirmed that they will not be sharing any further private medical information, including the type of cancer. If you would like to watch her message, in the link above, right here on the top right, do you see it right there? And in the description box below, I will leave a direct link to Kensington Palace's official YouTube channel. Sending the princess much love, light, peace, and strength. Number 3. Royals we lost in 2024. In 2024, we lost several well-known royals, including His Royal Highness Prince Vittorio Emanuele of Savoy, Prince of Naples, the son of the last King of Italy, on February 3rd in Geneva, Switzerland. On June 29th, Her Royal Highness Princess Lala Latifa of Morocco, the mother of His Majesty King Mohammed VI of Morocco, passed away. His Royal Highness Prince Michael of Greece passed away on July 28th in Athens, Greece. His Imperial and Royal Highness Prince Antonio do Orion Borgonza passed away on November 8th in Rio de Janeiro. Her Royal Highness Princess Birgitta of Sweden passed away on December 4th on the island of Majorca. And Her Imperial Highness Princess Eureka of Mikasa passed away on November 15th at the age of 101 in Tokyo. Here are 2 of my original reports. And finally, on Friday morning, the Imperial Household Agency announced that Her Imperial Highness Princess Eureka of Mikasa had passed away at St. Luke's International Hospital in Tokyo. She was 101 years old. Born Yuriko Takagi on June 4th, 1923, she married His Imperial Highness Prince Takehito of Mikasa, the son of Emperor Taisho and Empress Teimei, and the grandson of Emperor Meiji on October 22nd, 1941. The couple had 5 children. On October 27, 2016, Prince Takehito of Mikasa passed away at the age of 100. On March 3, 2024, the princess was admitted to the hospital due to a, quote, stroke and pneumonia, and had been receiving treatment. But medical tests earlier this month showed a decline in her cardiac and kidney functions. End quote. The IHA also confirmed that the Renso Nogi rite, the funeral for the late Princess Yuriko, will take place at 10 a.m. on November 26, 2024, at the Toshimagaoka Cemetery in the Bunkyo ward of Tokyo. My deepest condolences to the Imperial family of Japan. May Princess Yuriko rest in peace. This morning, the Royal House of Savoy announced that His Royal Highness Prince Vittorio Emanuele of Savoy, Prince of Naples, the son of the last King of Italy, passed away peacefully in Geneva, Switzerland. He was 86 years old. Prince Vittorio Emanuele leaves behind his wife, Her Royal Highness Princess Marina Doria of Savoy, his only son, His Royal Highness Prince Emanuele Filiberto of Savoy, Prince of Venice, and his wife, Her Royal Highness Princess Clotilde of Savoy. The late prince also leaves behind 2 granddaughters, Her Royal Highness Princess Vittoria of Savoy, and Her Royal Highness Princess Louisa of Savoy. Funeral arrangements for the prince will be announced in due course. Recently, Vittorio Emanuele was the subject of the popular 2023 Netflix documentary entitled Il Principe, in English, The King Who Never Was, directed by Mrs. Beatrice Borromeo Casaraghi. The documentary tells the story of the 1978 murder of a German teenager named Dirk Hammer through the, quote, accounts of his sister, Birgit Hammer, and the royal family of Savoy involved in the case, end quote. My deepest condolences to the Savoy family. May Prince Vittorio Emanuele of Savoy, Prince of Naples, rest in peace. Number 2, royal births and baptisms. In 2024, there were several royal births and baptisms. Her Royal Highness, Princess Alexandra of Luxembourg, and her husband, Mr. Nicholas Baggery, welcomed their first child, a girl named Victoire, on May 14th. The Royal Highnesses, Prince Felix and Princess Claire of Luxembourg, welcomed their third child, Prince Balthasar, on January 7th. Their Royal Highnesses, Prince Christian and Princess Alessandra of Hanover, also welcomed their third child, Princess Alexia, in February. While their Royal Highnesses, Prince Ernst August and Princess Ekaterina of Hanover, welcomed their fourth child, Princess Margarita, in July. On April 9th, their Royal Highnesses, Prince Hubertus and Princess Katiana of Bavaria, welcomed a healthy baby girl, Princess Letizia. On August 6th, in Munich, Germany, their Royal Highnesses, Prince Ludwig and Princess Sophie Alexandra of Bavaria, welcomed their first child, Prince Ruprecht Theodore Maria. On April 26th, their Serene Highnesses, Prince Gustav and Princess Karina of Sayn-Wittgenstein-Berlberg, welcomed their second child, Princess Mafalda. And their Royal Highnesses, Crown Prince Al-Hussein bin Abdullah II and Princess Rajwa Al-Hussein of Jordan, welcomed their first child on August 3rd. Here are 3 of my original reports. Royal Highnesses, Crown Prince Al-Hussein bin Abdullah II and Princess Rajwa Al-Hussein of Jordan welcomed their first child on Saturday, August 3rd, 2024, a healthy baby girl named Iman. The name Iman is Arabic, meaning faith or belief. In a press release from the Royal Hashemite Court, it noted that their Royal Highnesses are, quote, immensely overjoyed and thankful on welcoming their firstborn, end quote. The royal couple also requested that in lieu of gifts and flowers, well-wishers should donate to the Al-Aman Fund for the future of orphans. Meanwhile, His Majesty, King Abdullah II of Jordan, took to social media to share his joy upon the birth of his first grandchild. Quote, praise be to God, who has blessed us with our first granddaughter Iman, daughter of Al Hussein. Congratulations to Al Hussein and dear Rajwa on the birth of their daughter. We pray to Allah to help her grow up well and protect her for her parents. You've brightened our family. Signed, Grandpa. End quote. Her Majesty, Queen Rania of Jordan, took to social media and said, quote, "Praise be to God for his greatest gifts. You have brightened our lives with our precious granddaughter Iman. May God protect you for us. Congratulations to Hussein and Rajwa, and may God fill your lives with blessings and contentment. Iman, you've already got a hold of my heart. Our family has never been happier." End quote. After the birth of little Princess Iman, the Royal Hashemite Court released photos of their Majesties, Her Royal Highness Princess Iman bint Abdullah II of Jordan, His Royal Highness Prince Hashem bin Abdullah II of Jordan, Her Royal Highness Princess Salma bint Abdullah II of Jordan, and of course, the proud new father, His Royal Highness Crown Prince Al Hussein bin Abdullah II of Jordan, holding and admiring the royal family's new bundle of joy. On July 22, 2024, I reported that several reliable news agencies in the Kingdom of Jordan, including Hala Akbar, confirmed that Her Royal Highness Princess Rajwa Al Hussein of Jordan will give birth to her first child in early August at the King Hussein Medical Center in Amman. The next day, I reported that Crown Prince Al Hussein bin Abdullah II of Jordan visited the Al Raya Media Group, which owns Hala Akbar. On April 10, 2024, the Royal Hashemite Court confirmed that the Crown Prince and the Princess are expecting their first child, quote, sometime in the summer, end quote. Now, you may be wondering, will little Princess Iman inherit the throne once her father, the Crown Prince, becomes king? Unfortunately, no. According to Article 28, Section 2 of the Constitution of the Kingdom of Jordan, the throne of the Hashemite Kingdom of Jordan is hereditary to the dynasty of King Abdullah bin Al Hussein in a direct line through male heirs according to the following provisions. Quote, "The royal title shall pass from the holder of the throne to his eldest son, then to the eldest son of that eldest son, and in linear succession in a similar process thereafter. Should the eldest son die before the throne devolves upon him, his eldest son shall inherit the throne, even if the deceased has brothers. The king may, however, select one of his brothers as heir apparent. In this event, the title to the throne shall pass from him to the holder of the throne." End quote. In Article 28, Section B, it says that if a person entitled to the throne does not have a male heir, quote, "it shall pass to his eldest brother. If he has no brothers, to the eldest son of his eldest brother. If his eldest brother has no son, to the eldest son of his other brothers, according to the seniority in age of the brothers." End quote. Crown Prince Al Hussein bin Abdullah II and Princess Rajwa Al Hussein of Jordan were married on June 1, 2023 at Zahran Palace in Amman, with a lavish reception and gala dinner following at Al Husseiniya Palace. My warmest congratulations to the Crown Prince and Princess Rajwa on the birth of Princess Iman. Wonderful news. In Bad-Berleburg, Her Serene Highness Princess Mafalda of Sayn-Wittgenstein-Berleburg, the daughter of their Serene Highnesses Prince Gustav and Princess Karina of Sayn-Wittgenstein-Berleburg, was baptized this morning in the private chapel at Schloss Berleburg. Pastor Dr. Ulf Lückel, a longtime friend of Prince Gustav and Princess Karina, presided over the baptism, with close family and friends in attendance. Princess Mafalda's godparents are Her Royal Highness Princess Marie of Denmark. Princess Karina is a godmother of Princess Marie's daughter, Her Excellency, Countess Athena of Montpezat. His Highness Prince Philip of Hesse. Prince Philip is a first cousin of Prince Gustav. Prince Philip's mother is Her Serene Highness Princess Tatiana of Sayn-Wittgenstein-Berleburg, the sister of the late Prince Richard of Sayn-Wittgenstein-Berleburg. On June 10, 2006, Prince Gustav and then Miss Karina Axelsson attended the wedding of Prince Philip and Letitia Bechtolf in Germany. Her Highness, Hereditary Princess Kelly of Saxe-Coburg and Gotha. Princess Karina is a godmother of Prince Philip of Saxe-Coburg and Gotha, the second child of their Highnesses, Hereditary Prince Hubertus and Hereditary Princess Kelly of Saxe-Coburg and Gotha. His Royal Highness, Prince Philippos of Greece. Prince Philippos is the youngest son of Her Majesty Queen Anne-Marie of the Hellenes and the late King Constantine of the Hellenes. Prince Philippos is the first cousin of Prince Gustav. Baroness Helle Rietz-Thought is a longtime and close friend of Prince Gustav and Princess Karina. Princess Karina is a godmother of Baron Otto and Baroness Helle's only daughter, Eloise. Absent from today's baptism was His Highness, Hereditary Prince Christian Kraft of Hohenlohe-Urian. Princess Mafalda was born on Friday, April 26, 2024, in the United States with the help of a surrogate. Prince Gustav and Princess Karina are also proud parents of His Serene Highness, Prince Gustav Albrecht of Sayn-Wittgenstein-Berleburg, who was born on May 26, 2023, in the United States. In Munich, the House of Wittelsbach announced that their Royal Highnesses, Prince Ludwig and Princess Sophie Alexandra of Bavaria, welcomed their first child, a boy, Prince Ruprecht Theodor Maria. In the press release, it noted that the princess and the little prince are, quote, in excellent health. The young family is now enjoying their first days together, end quote. Along with the announcement, the House of Wittelsbach released an illustration by Countess Alexandra von Unzu-Eltz, a close friend of the princess and her bridesmaid, showcasing a stork carrying a baby wrapped in cloth with the caption 6 August 2024, Ruprecht. Prince Ludwig and Princess Sophie Alexandra were married on Saturday, May 20th, 2023, at the Theatine Church in Munich, with a reception following at Schloss Nymphenburg. On March 17th, 2024, the princess announced that she and Prince Ludwig, the future head of the House of Wittelsbach, were expecting their first child in the late summer during a conference about the 17 UN Sustainable Development Goals in Landsberg am Lech. Congratulations to Prince Ludwig and Princess Sophie Alexandra of Bavaria. Wonderful news. Number 1. The proclamation of 2 kings and a swearing-in of a future reigning Grand Duke. On January 14th, the historic proclamation of His Majesty King Frederik X of Denmark took place at Christiansborg Slot. On January 31st, His Majesty Sultan Ibrahim Ibn Sultan Iskander of Johor was sworn in as the 17th King of Malaysia. On July 20th, the proclamation of the 17th King took place at the Istana Negara in Kuala Lumpur. On October 8, 2024, His Royal Highness Hereditary Grand Duke Guillaume of Luxembourg was sworn in as Lieutenant Representative of the Grand Duke. On December 25th, His Royal Highness Grand Duke Henri of Luxembourg announced his abdication. Hereditary Grand Duke Guillaume will accede to the Grand Ducal throne on October 3rd, 2025. Here are 3 of my original reports. In Luxembourg City, His Royal Highness Hereditary Grand Duke Guillaume of Luxembourg took the oath of Lieutenant Representative of the Grand Duke during a ceremony at the Chamber of Deputies this afternoon. On June 23, 2024, His Royal Highness Grand Duke Henri of Luxembourg announced that his eldest son and heir to the Grand Ducal throne, Hereditary Grand Duke Guillaume of Luxembourg, would take on the role of Lieutenant Representative of the Grand Duke. According to Chapter 3, Section 2, Article 58 of the Constitution of the Grand Duchy of Luxembourg, it states, quote, "The Grand Duke may be represented by a person who meets the conditions of Article 56, Paragraph 1, and who bears the title of Lieutenant Representative of the Grand Duke." The Lieutenant Representative of the Grand Duke only takes office after having taken the following oath before the Chamber of Deputies." End quote. The role of Lieutenant Representative of the Grand Duke will allow Hereditary Grand Duke Guillaume to take on more responsibilities, representing the Grand Duke. The Cour Grand Ducal notes that the Grand Duke is, quote, "free to attach limitations to the mandate that he deems necessary. The powers of the Lieutenant Representative are delimited by this mandate, and the provisions that he makes under his mission have the same effect as if they came from the Grand Duke himself." End quote. It is important to note that Grand Duke Henri is not abdicating. He is still the head of state. However, traditionally, when the heir is named Lieutenant Representative, several years go by when the head of state eventually abdicates. In the history of the Grand Duchy, there have been 5 lieutenant representatives. The first dates back to February 5, 1850, when King William III of the Netherlands, who was also the Grand Duke of Luxembourg, appointed his brother, Prince Henry of the Netherlands, as lieutenant representative. Prince Henry took on the oath on October 24, 1850. The second, Hereditary Grand Duke Guillaume of Nassau, the son of Grand Duke Adolf, who took the oath as lieutenant representative in April 1902. He acceded to the throne on November 17, 1905, after the death of his father. On March 19, 1908, Grand Duchess Maria Anna was appointed lieutenant representative by Grand Duke Guillaume IV. On April 28, 1961, Her Royal Highness Grand Duchess Charlotte of Luxembourg appointed her eldest son and heir, His Royal Highness Hereditary Grand Duke Jean of Luxembourg, as lieutenant representative. He took the oath on May 4, 1961. On November 12, 1964, Grand Duchess Charlotte abdicated in favor of her son. On March 4, 1998, His Royal Highness Grand Duke Jean of Luxembourg appointed his heir, Hereditary Grand Duke Henri of Luxembourg, as lieutenant representative. On October 7, 2000, Grand Duke Jean of Luxembourg abdicated in favor of his son. Today's ceremony began at the Palais Grand Ducal with His Royal Highness Grand Duke Henri of Luxembourg and the Prime Minister of the Grand Duchy of Luxembourg, Mr. Luc Frieden, signing the Grand Ducal Decree of Appointment. The Grand Ducal Decree of Appointment specifies the powers that the Grand Duke delegates to the Lieutenant Representative. After a speech from the Prime Minister, the Hereditary Grand Duke gave a speech, stating, quote, "The lieutenancy that begins today is a double proof of confidence. The confidence of a father in his son, but also the confidence of a head of state in his successor. I am very proud to be able to do even more alongside our head of state, and I promise him to give the best of myself to fulfill my new responsibilities." End quote. At 3:30 p.m., the Hereditary Grand Duke and Prime Minister Frieden arrived at the Chamber of Deputies for the taking of the oath ceremony. This is the first time that the taking of the oath ceremony has taken place in the Chamber of Deputies, due to the change in the Constitution of the Grand Duchy of Luxembourg in 2003. During the ceremony, the President of the Chamber of Deputies, Mr. Claude Weissler, gave a speech in front of members of the government, noting that, quote, "Today is a day that marks a pivotal moment in the history of Luxembourg. It is an important day, not only for you personally, but also for the Luxembourg people and all its residents. 26 years after your father, it is your turn to take on the role of Lieutenant Representative." End quote. Then, the Hereditary Grand Duke stood up as President Weissler read the Grand Ducal Decree of Appointment. Moments later, the Hereditary Grand Duke took the oath, stating, quote, "I swear to observe the Constitution and the laws and to faithfully fulfill my constitutional duties." End quote. After taking the oath, the Hereditary Grand Duke gave a speech, stating, quote, "The Grand Duke has decided to entrust me with a new responsibility by appointing me Lieutenant Representative today. I am deeply grateful to him, as well as to you, elected parliamentarians of the country, to the Luxembourg government, and for the trust you have placed in me. The oath I have just taken as Lieutenant Representative commits me not only to respect, but also to defend at all times the fundamental values enshrined in our Constitution. It is before you that I make this solemn commitment with gratitude. I am aware that today also marks a new stage in my personal life for my wife and our children. We are approaching it together and with confidence. I am delighted to now stand alongside the Grand Duke as Lieutenant Representative in the service of this country and its people, and to work in the best interests of Luxembourg." End quote. After a round of applause, posing for photos, and signing the Chamber of Deputies book, the hereditary Grand Duke, the Prime Minister, and the President took a short walk back to the Palais Grand Ducal. The historic day ended with a reception at the Palais Grand Ducal. And finally, in Kuala Lumpur, Sultan Ibrahim, Sultan Iskander of Johor, took the oath of office and the instruments of the Proclamation of Office as the 17th King of Malaysia during the 264th special meeting of the Conference of Rulers, held inside the throne room at the National Palace. Sultan Ibrahim was elected as the 17th King of Malaysia during the 263rd special meeting of the Conference of Rulers in October 2023. Sultan Ibrahim replaces Sultan Abdullah al-Mustafa Billah Shah of Pahang, who completed his 5-year reign as the 16th King of Malaysia on Tuesday, January 30th. Upon taking the oath, the 65-year-old Sultan Ibrahim, Sultan Iskander of Johor, said, quote, "With this oath, I solemnly and truly profess to be faithful to rule fairly for Malaysia in accordance with the laws and the Constitution." End quote. After the ceremony, the King's senior private secretary issued a press release announcing the official title of the 17th King and Queen of Malaysia. Quote, "Sultan Ibrahim will be known as His Majesty Sultan Ibrahim, King of Malaysia, while his wife, Raja Zarath Sophia, will be known as Her Majesty Raja Zarath Sophia, Queen of Malaysia." End quote. After the King took the oath, the Sultan of Perak, Sultan Nazreen Shah, was sworn in as Deputy King for the next 5 years. Meanwhile, 6,365 miles away in Kuala Lumpur, the coronation ceremony of His Majesty Sultan Ibrahim Ibni Sultan Iskander, the 17th King of Malaysia, took place at the Istana Negara. The 65-year-old billionaire king from the southern Malaysian state of Johor took the oath of office as the 17th King of Malaysia on January 31st, 2024, in the presence of the 7 sultans, 1 Raja, and 1 Grand Ruler of the Malay states. Over 700 guests from around the world attended the ceremony, including His Majesty King Hamad bin Isa Khalifa Bahrain, Their Majesties Sultan Hassan al-Bolkiah and Queen Salih of Brunei, and Their Royal Highnesses Prince Abdul Mateen and Princess Anisha Rosna of Brunei. According to the Associated Press, the ceremony began with His Majesty the King receiving a, quote, "copy of the Quran," and then kissed it. The monarch received a gold dagger, a symbol of power. Prime Minister Anwar Ibrahim then pledged his government's loyalty and said the royal institution was a pillar of strength for the nation. He then proclaimed Sultan Ibrahim as Malaysia's new king. End quote. In the evening, a lavish gala banquet was held in the grand main dining hall at the Istana Negara. Over 650 guests attended the gala, including the 17th King of Malaysia's sons, daughter, son-in-law, and daughter-in-law. This afternoon in Copenhagen, Her Majesty, Queen Margrethe II of Denmark, the longest reigning monarch in Danish history, abdicated the throne in favor of her son, His Royal Highness Crown Prince Frederik of Denmark, during the meeting of the Council of State at Christiansborg Slot. In her traditional New Year speech on December 31st, 2023, the Queen explained why she was stepping down, stating, quote, "In February this year, I underwent extensive back surgery. Everything went well, thanks to the competent health personnel who took care of me. Inevitably, the operation gave cause to thoughts about the future, whether now would be an appropriate time to pass on the responsibility to the next generation. I have decided that now is the right time." End quote. So here we are. At 2 p.m., Her Majesty Queen Margrethe II of Denmark, His Royal Highness Crown Prince Frederik of Denmark, His Royal Highness Prince Christian of Denmark, the Queen's Cabinet Secretary, Mr. Henning Fogh, the Prime Minister of Denmark, Ms. Mette Frederiksen, the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Mr. Lars Rasmussen, and select members of the government arrived in the State Council chamber to participate in the meeting of the Council of State at Christiansborg Slot. As members of the Council of State took their seats and settled in, the Queen opened a folder and began to sign the Declaration of Abdication. With 2 quick strokes of the pen, hence signing her name twice, it was over. Then Her Majesty Queen Margrethe, which is now her official style and title, said "Tak," stood up, smiled, and left the council chamber. Before she left, Her Majesty Queen Margrethe asked her son to sit. Wearing his naval uniform, just like his grandfather, King Frederick IX, wore during his proclamation in 1947, immediately took the seat at the end of the table. Crown Prince Christian, the heir to the Danish throne, sat to the right of the king, as he now has a permanent seat in the Council of State. At 2:30 p.m., Their Majesties King Frederick X and Queen Mary of Denmark hosted a reception at Christiansborg Slot for specially invited guests, including the Queen's eldest sister, Mrs. Jane Stevens, and the King's younger brother, His Royal Highness Prince Joachim of Denmark. A half an hour later, it was time for the proclamation. As His Majesty the King stepped out onto the balcony at Christiansborg Slot, thousands of happy Danes and tourists from around the world erupted with cheers and applause. A visibly moved king smiled and waved. Then the Prime Minister of Denmark, Ms. Mette Frederiksen, stepped out onto the balcony to give her speech and to proclaim Frederik X as King of Denmark. Immediately after the proclamation of the king, 27 cannon shots were fired 3 times from the Sixtus Battery by the Navy's military police guard on Holmen in Copenhagen. Moments later, His Majesty King Frederik X of Denmark gave a speech stating, quote, "My mother, Her Majesty Queen Margrethe II, has ruled Denmark for 52 years. Through a half-century, she has followed the times with our common heritage as a starting point. She will forever be remembered as a regent beyond the ordinary. My mother, like few, has managed to become one with her kingdom. Today, the throne passes on. My hope is to become a gathering king of tomorrow. It is a task that I have approached all my life. It is a responsibility that I take on with respect, pride, and great joy. It is a deed I will make an effort to carry through the trust I encounter. I will need all the support I can get from my beloved wife, from my family, from you, and from that which is greater than us. I face the future with the certainty that I am not alone, connected, obligated, for the Kingdom of Denmark." End quote. Then, Her Majesty Queen Mary of Denmark appeared on the balcony, along with Crown Prince Christian, Princess Isabella, Prince Vincent, and Princess Josephine of Denmark. At 3:30 p.m., Their Majesties King Frederick X and Queen Mary of Denmark departed from Christiansborg Slot in the gold wedding carriage, escorted by the Guard Hussar Regiment's mounted squadron to Frederick VIII's palace at Amalienborg. The day ended with a transfer of flags and banners and the royal family appearing on the balcony at Frederick VIII's palace at Amalienborg. Meanwhile, the Royal Court of Denmark released the king's official monogram. Designed by Ronnie Anderson with digital assistance from artist Stefan Leigard, the monogram features 2 mirrored Fs with a Roman numeral 10 in the middle. So, what's next for the king? Well, on Monday, tomorrow, the royal family will attend a reception at Danish Parliament. On Sunday, January 21st, the royal family will attend a celebratory service at Aarhus Cathedral. At this time, it is unknown if Their Majesties will carry on the tradition of participating in the annual summer cruise aboard the Royal Yacht Dannebrog across the kingdom, or hold a summer photo call at Gråsten Slot with members of the royal family. As for a potential state visit this year, I'm going to assume that there will be one, either to the Kingdom of Norway or the Kingdom of Sweden. Speaking of Sweden, His Majesty King Carl Gustaf of Sweden issued a statement ahead of Her Majesty Queen Margrethe II of Denmark's abdication, stating, quote, "Your Majesty, dear cousin Daisy, when you resign today from high office as Queen of Denmark, I want to express my warm thanks for the good cooperation over the years. You now enter a changed role, but the friendship between us remains, heartfelt and constant. As Denmark's queen, you have been a guarantor of the closeness and affection that today prevails between our countries and houses. For this, I want to thank you in particular. On this historic day, my family and I wish you happiness and prosperity in success. Signed, Carl Gustaf R." End quote. His Majesty King Harald V of Norway issued a statement to the new King and Queen of Denmark, stating, quote, "Your Majesties, dear Frederick and Mary, my family and I wish to convey our warmest congratulations to you as Denmark's new King and Queen. You are succeeding a monarch who has fulfilled her function with exceptional commitment. Her Majesty Queen Margrethe has followed her country and her people through times of joy and sorrow with warmth, wisdom, and dedication. For more than 50 years, she has devoted herself to Denmark with infectious humor accompanied by deep insight and knowledge. And with the staunch support of her immediate family, the close friendship between our two families means a great deal to all of us. Now it's your turn to carry the legacy forward and follow Denmark into a new age. I am confident that you will flourish in your new role. My family and I hope and pray that you will be given the strength and support that you need to carry out your calling. Signed, Harald R." End quote. In Den Haag, Their Majesties King Willem-Alexander and Queen Maxima of the Netherlands and Her Royal Highness Princess Beatrix of the Netherlands issued a statement as well, stating, quote, "After 52 years, Denmark is getting a new head of state today. With warmth and affection, we honor Queen Margrethe for her unconditional and remarkable commitment to Denmark. We look forward to meeting King Frederick X and Queen Mary in their new role and continue to cherish the close friendship between the Netherlands and Denmark." End quote. And finally, in Brussels, the Belgian Royal Court issued a statement on behalf of Their Majesties King Philippe and Queen Mathilde of the Belgians, stating, quote, "Queen Margrethe II of Denmark abdicated today in favor of her son, bringing an end to the longest reign in Danish history. For 52 years as sovereign, she put the interests of the Danish nation and the people first. Her way of exercising the royal function and her dedication will remain an example to all of us. The King and the Queen have warm memories of each of their encounters with the Queen. They wish King Frederick X and Queen Mary of Denmark all the best in their new roles. May this new era for the Danish nation be filled with happiness and prosperity." End quote. His Majesty King Charles III of the United Kingdom also sent his best wishes to the new King and Queen of Denmark. So, a new reign begins in the Kingdom of Denmark. Congratulations to Their Majesties King Frederick X and Queen Mary of Denmark, and to the people of Denmark. Long live the King. And there you have it, 2024's most talked about royal news and events. Well, it's all subjective, and that's okay. Anyway, thank you all so much for joining me on this New Year's Eve. Honestly, I really do appreciate it. I will be back on Tuesday, January 1st, 2025, with a full report on Their Majesties King Frederick X and Queen Mary of Denmark hosting their first New Year Gala banquet and reception, and so much more. So, I hope you all will join me on Tuesday. Also, the calendar of royal events for January 2025 will be posted on the community page this evening. Until then, please consider liking this video, subscribing, and clicking on the notification bell so you won't miss a new episode. So to wrap up the weird and crazy year that was 2024, I sincerely wish each and every one of you, your family, your friends, and of course your pets a wonderful new year. May 2025 bring you and your family and your friends and your pets much happiness, peace, love, laughter, and good fortune. Take care, my friends, and God bless. I will see you all tomorrow.